Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is enjoying their day. Please subscribe and like the video before continuing. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis crashes Christine's wedding, in a good or a bad way. The Young and the Restless, Y&R, spoilers show that Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, never met a grudge she didn't like which could prove troublesome for Christine Blair, Laura Lee Bell, and Danny Romalotti, Michael Damian. Get updates on the latest news about The Young and the Restless, straight to your inbox. We use your personal data for interest-based advertising, as outlined in our privacy notice. What is this? They are set to marry and Cricket asked Daniel Romalotti, Michael Graziade, to ensure that Phyllis doesn't have a chance to ruin the nuptials. That's a tall order. Can Phyllis resist causing a little wedding crasher chaos? Danny and Cricket to marry. In the August 14th episode, Christine asked Daniel for the favor regarding her October marriage ceremony. Danny and Christine met decades ago and finally their love is coming full circle. We predict that this time around they will find lasting happiness since they've been through Hades and back and they certainly deserve a happy ever after. But Phyllis has never warmed to the idea of her baby daddy being with the bug. At one point she tried to mow down Christine in her car, and another time put an octopus in her bed. This is why Daniel must do his best to keep Phyllis far away from the wedding venue. Can he succeed? What is this? Will Phyllis ruin Christine's wedding day? At this time Phyllis is obsessed with partnering with Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn. She is also trying to heal from a traumatic kidnapping. So she may not have time to waste on blowing up Danny and Christine's wedding. But does anyone really believe that? Phyllis has never met a grudge she doesn't love. Daniel needs to protect Cricket and Danny. Daniel does his best to keep Phyllis away from the wedding but he's not perfect. Plus, when was the last time Phyllis obeyed her concerned kids? Tell us, the Young and the Restless fans, do you want Phyllis to stay far away from the wedding of the year or do you think she's incapable of being a good citizen? Phyllis could arrive with her big guns, or she could make a small but nasty gesture such as delivering a snarky toast. What do you think she'll get up to? Be sure to catch up on everything happening with the Young and the Restless right now. Come back here often for the hottest Y&R updates, news, and spoilers. Get comfortable, and gain access to the best soap intel on the web. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Phyllis crashes Christine's wedding, in a good or a bad way. The Young and the Restless has never been shy about creating jaw-dropping drama at weddings, and it looks like Christine Blair's big day may be the next Genoa City ceremony that goes off the rails. Longtime fans know that weddings in this soap town rarely unfold without fireworks, and this time the wild card may very well be none other than Phyllis Summers. Rumors are swirling that Phyllis could crash Christine's wedding, but the real mystery is whether her unexpected arrival will cause chaos or serve as a surprising olive branch. Given Phyllis's complicated history with Christine, Paul, Danny, and just about anyone in Genoa City who has crossed her path, the possibilities are endless and the fallout could stretch across multiple storylines. The big question is whether Phyllis comes in with revenge on her mind, or if this time she chooses to shock everyone by doing something noble and redemptive. Christine has been enjoying a renaissance lately, reconnecting with her long-lost love Danny Romalotti while also preparing to put her painful past with Paul Williams behind her. After years of distance and unfulfilled dreams, Christine is finally allowing herself to embrace happiness. However, soap fans know that when a character dares to be happy, storm clouds usually gather, and who better to stir up trouble than Phyllis? These two women have decades of bad blood between them, and the idea of Phyllis turning up at Christine's wedding feels like fate calling in a karmic check. Whether it's to gloat, warn, or even confess, Phyllis's presence would instantly ignite tension. For Christine, the memory of Phyllis's past interference in her relationships is still fresh, no matter how much time has passed. From the dangerous rivalry over Danny to the manipulations that nearly destroyed Christine's career and personal life, Phyllis has always been the thorn in her side. Many longtime viewers remember the infamous storyline where Phyllis stalked Christine and tried to run her down, an act that still lives in soap infamy. Although Phyllis has insisted that she has changed and worked hard to rebuild herself after faking her own death and spiraling out of control, Christine has every reason to be skeptical. If Phyllis shows up at her wedding, Christine might see it as an attack on her fresh start, and that could trigger a showdown worthy of soap legend. Yet there's another side to consider. Could Phyllis surprise everyone and crash the wedding not to tear Christine down, but to offer an unexpected blessing? It would be completely in line with the writer's penchant for irony if Phyllis, the eternal troublemaker, decided to show up at the one moment everyone would expect her to sabotage things and instead choose peace. Phyllis has been struggling with her identity lately, bouncing between being the trouble-stirring diva and the fiercely protective mother. With her children Daniel and Summer both moving forward with their lives, perhaps Phyllis will seize the opportunity to prove she has matured. Offering Christine an olive branch at her wedding would certainly be a shocker, and it could lead to a stunning new chapter in their rivalry turn truce. Still, can Christine or Danny truly trust Phyllis's motives? Even if Phyllis claims to come in peace, there is always the possibility of an ulterior motive. For instance, Danny and Phyllis have their own history together, including a son, Daniel, who has often been caught in the crossfire of their complicated relationship. Phyllis showing up at Danny and Christine's wedding could be her way of reasserting her influence over her ex. While Christine and Danny are basking in nostalgia and rekindled romance, Phyllis might remind Danny of their past, subtly planting seeds of doubt. If that happens, Christine's dream wedding could quickly unravel into a nightmare. On the other hand, the wedding could also provide an opportunity for a shocking twist in Phyllis's personal arc. Soap operas thrive on redemption stories, and Phyllis could decide to truly commit to being better. If she gives Christine and Danny her blessing in front of everyone, that act could help heal old wounds and allow Phyllis to begin carving out a new future. It might not erase her past misdeeds, but it would show she is capable of growth. And yet, there's always the possibility that the writers will push Phyllis too far into chaos once again. A wedding scene is ripe for dramatic reveals, and perhaps Phyllis will arrive armed with some kind of secret that could blow up the entire ceremony. Fans are already buzzing about what this potential wedding crashing scenario could mean for Genoa City at large. Imagine Nikki and Victor Newman attending the wedding only to watch Phyllis storm in. Victor, who never misses a chance to manipulate the drama to his advantage, could use Phyllis's antics to further his own agendas. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott, Phyllis's on-again off-again love, might find himself torn between supporting her and condemning her actions, deepening his own inner conflict. The ripple effects of Phyllis's decision could impact nearly every corner of the canvas, because when Phyllis Summers makes a move, the whole town usually ends up reacting. There's also the looming question of whether Paul Williams might be part of the storyline again. Christine's past with Paul is deeply tied to her history with Phyllis, and if Paul were to make an appearance around the time of the wedding, it could reignite old wounds. Imagine the combustible mixture of Paul, Christine, Danny, and Phyllis all in one room, with years of love, betrayal, and unfinished business bubbling beneath the surface. It would be soap gold. Ultimately, the question boils down to this: is Phyllis crashing Christine's wedding a blessing in disguise or a disaster waiting to happen? Will she extend a rare moment of grace and prove she can rise above her reputation, or will her presence tear open old scars and remind everyone of why she has been branded Genoa City's most unpredictable woman? Either way, fans can count on high drama, emotional confrontations, and plenty of twists that will keep viewers glued to their screens. Soap weddings are never simple, and with Phyllis Summers in the mix, this one could go down in the Young and the Restless history as one of the most unforgettable ceremonies of all time. The Young and the Restless spoilers: will Phyllis ruin Christine's wedding day? The Young and the Restless has always thrived on high-stakes drama, passionate rivalries, and the kind of jaw-dropping moments that keep fans talking for years. Weddings in Genoa City are never ordinary, and as Christine Blair prepares to walk down the aisle once again, questions swirl about whether her longtime nemesis Phyllis Summers might swoop in and cast a shadow over the biggest day of her life. With decades of bad blood between these two women, it seems almost inevitable that the past will rear its head at the very moment Christine hopes to secure her happily ever after. The burning question is simple yet loaded: will Phyllis ruin Christine's wedding day, and if so, will it be intentional sabotage or one of those unexpected soap opera twists where chaos leads to catharsis? Christine's life has been filled with professional victories and personal heartbreak. As the crusading attorney who fought tirelessly for justice, she built a reputation as the moral compass of Genoa City, but her love life has often been stormy. From her enduring connection to Paul Williams to her rekindled romance with Danny Romalotti, Christine has navigated tangled webs of passion, betrayal, and loss. Now, with wedding bells on the horizon, Christine hopes to leave the past behind and embrace a brighter future. But for Christine, the past has a nasty habit of showing up uninvited, and no one embodies that truth more than Phyllis. Phyllis and Christine's rivalry is legendary. It began decades ago when Phyllis schemed her way into Danny Romalotti's life, manipulating circumstances to claim him for herself while ruthlessly sidelining Christine. That history alone makes the idea of Christine marrying Danny again particularly combustible. Phyllis may insist that she has moved on, but deep down, watching Christine and Danny reunite might sting in ways she doesn't want to admit. Add to that the infamous car incident when Phyllis tried to run Christine down, and you have the makings of one of the most bitter rivalries in soap history. Even years later, the wounds haven't healed, and Christine has every reason to be wary of Phyllis crashing her special day. If Phyllis does decide to intervene, the motivations could be as layered as her personality. She might lash out because she feels sidelined, angry that Christine is finding happiness while she continues to battle her own demons. After all, Phyllis has been on a roller coaster of late, from faking her death to battling Diane Jenkins to trying to rebuild trust with her children. A dramatic wedding crash would fit her pattern of self-destructive behavior, a cry for attention when she feels most vulnerable. But another angle could be at play. Phyllis might also crash the ceremony not to destroy it but to make some kind of grand gesture. Imagine Phyllis walking into the wedding with everyone expecting fireworks, only for her to shock the crowd by offering Christine and Danny her blessing. It would be the ultimate soap twist, turning expectations upside down and forcing Christine to confront whether she can ever forgive her nemesis. Danny's role in all of this cannot be overlooked. His history with both women makes him a central figure in whatever unfolds. If Phyllis shows up and tries to sway Danny or remind him of their past, it could plant seeds of doubt on the very day Christine hopes to secure his future. Danny has always had complicated feelings toward Phyllis, torn between resentment for her past manipulations and recognition that she is the mother of his child. Should Phyllis play the nostalgia card at the wedding, Danny might waver, and even the slightest hesitation could shatter Christine's confidence. For Christine, who has fought so hard to rebuild her happiness, such a moment could be devastating. Beyond Christine, Danny, and Phyllis, the ripple effects of this potential wedding disaster could touch nearly everyone in Genoa City. Jack Abbott, Phyllis's longtime love, would almost certainly be caught in the crossfire. If Phyllis goes off the rails, Jack might feel compelled to intervene, reigniting old feelings and dragging him back into her orbit despite his efforts to maintain distance. Victor and Nikki Newman, who seem to have a front-row seat to every major drama in town, could use the chaos to further their own agendas, particularly if Victor sees an opportunity to manipulate Christine's professional role in the city. Even characters like Daniel and Summer, Phyllis's children, could find themselves humiliated or torn between loyalty to their mother and a desire to see Christine find peace. There is also the tantalizing possibility that Paul Williams could make a return appearance tied to the wedding. Christine and Paul shared a deep love story, and his absence has always left fans yearning for closure. If Phyllis crashes the wedding and Paul somehow re-enters the picture, the triangle could reignite in ways that nobody saw coming. Imagine Christine standing at the altar with Danny while Paul's presence, and Phyllis's antics, force her to reconsider everything. It would be the kind of soapy spectacle that The Young and the Restless delivers best, combining nostalgia with shock value in a way that thrills longtime viewers. But perhaps the most interesting angle is whether Phyllis is even capable of change. Over the years, she has walked the fine line between villain and heroine, alternately sabotaging lives and protecting those she loves. Fans often debate whether Phyllis is beyond redemption, or if deep down she simply longs to be loved and accepted. Crashing Christine's wedding could be her defining moment. If she chooses chaos, it reinforces her reputation as Genoa City's ultimate disruptor. But if she chooses peace, it could mark the beginning of a new chapter for her, one where she proves that even the most unpredictable characters can evolve. At the end of the day, the question of whether Phyllis ruins Christine's wedding is about more than just a single ceremony. It's about decades of history, grudges, and emotional scars that still linger between these two women. Soap fans live for these moments because they combine the thrill of the unexpected with the weight of long-term storytelling. Every look, every word, every interruption would carry years of backstory, giving the scene a richness that only a show with the young and the restless history can deliver. So will Phyllis ruin Christine's wedding day? The answer may depend on what the writers want for both characters moving forward. If the goal is to give Christine her happily ever after, Phyllis might crash the event but ultimately leave without causing irreparable harm. If the goal is to reignite the rivalry and remind fans of the fiery battles that made Phyllis and Christine such iconic foils, then viewers should brace for a wedding day disaster of epic proportions. Either way, one thing is certain: when Phyllis Summers walks into a room, the odds of peace are slim, and the odds of unforgettable drama skyrocket. Fans better buckle up because this wedding, like so many in Genoa City, could go down in soap history as one of the most talked about events ever. The Young and the Restless spoilers: Daniel needs to protect Cricket and Danny. The Young and the Restless is setting the stage for an emotional and potentially explosive storyline that could see Daniel Romalotti, Jr. stepping into a role he never imagined, protector of both his father Danny Romalotti and Christine, Cricket, Blair. As Christine and Danny continue to rediscover their love for one another, old rivalries and dangerous secrets threaten to destroy the peace they've been trying to build. The moment calls for Daniel to put aside his own inner struggles and become the shield his family desperately needs. But can Daniel rise to the occasion, or will he be caught in the crossfire of the decades-old feud that still simmers between Christine and Phyllis Summers? For longtime fans, the complicated history between Christine, Danny, and Phyllis needs no introduction. Christine and Danny's romance has always been a fairy tale laced with heartbreak, while Phyllis's scheming tore them apart years ago. Daniel himself was the product of Phyllis's manipulations, conceived during her desperate attempts to hold on to Danny. Now, as fate brings Christine and Danny back together, the specter of Phyllis hangs over their happiness. Daniel knows firsthand just how far his mother can go when she feels threatened, and that's why his protective instincts are kicking into overdrive. Christine has endured so much over the years: heartbreak, betrayal, professional attacks, and even literal attempts on her life. Danny has been her rock in the past, but he too has his vulnerabilities, particularly where Phyllis is concerned. If Phyllis decides she cannot stand the thought of Christine and Danny finding joy together, she could unleash a storm that leaves both of them broken. Daniel, caught between the woman who raised him and the parents who represent stability and truth, may find himself forced to choose sides. His decision to protect Christine and Danny could signal a powerful shift in his character, cementing his role as the true moral center of the Romalotti family. But protecting Christine and Danny may not be as simple as keeping Phyllis away. Genoa City thrives on secrets, and there may be more at stake than meets the eye. Rumors swirl that Phyllis could crash Christine and Danny's upcoming wedding or celebration, sparking memories of her past crimes and forcing old wounds to the surface. If she brings a new scheme or shocking revelation to the table, Daniel might be the only one capable of diffusing the situation before it spirals out of control. His unique position, being Phyllis's son yet deeply loyal to Danny, could give him the leverage to prevent a disaster. Still, it's an impossible balancing act, and the pressure could push Daniel to his breaking point. The dynamic is complicated further by Daniel's personal journey. He has been working hard to rebuild his life, reconnect with his daughter Lucy, and repair the damage done by years of poor choices. Protecting Christine and Danny might become his chance at redemption, a way to prove not only to them but also to himself that he can rise above the chaos that has defined his family for so long. At the same time, stepping into the fray could reignite tensions with Phyllis, who might see his loyalty to Christine and Danny as the ultimate betrayal. The possibility of a heartbreaking mother-son rift looms large, and the fallout could ripple across Genoa City. Adding to the intrigue is the possibility of Paul Williams' return. Christine's history with Paul remains one of the most iconic romances in soap history, and his reappearance could add even more complications to the situation. If Paul shows up, perhaps to witness or stop Christine's wedding to Danny, the drama would be magnified tenfold. Daniel might then find himself not just protecting Christine and Danny from Phyllis, but also from the emotional chaos Paul's presence would stir up. Protecting their happiness in the face of such turbulence would be no small task, and Daniel could be the only one strong enough to hold it all together. What makes this storyline so powerful is the emotional weight carried by all involved. Christine longs for peace and happiness after years of turmoil. Danny wants to reconnect with the woman who has always been the love of his life. Phyllis struggles with feelings of rejection, jealousy, and fear of losing her grip on the people she loves. And Daniel stands at the center of it all, torn between past and present, duty and love. His choice to protect Christine and Danny could be seen as a betrayal of his mother, but it could also be his moment to finally define himself outside of her shadow. Fans know that weddings in Genoa City rarely go smoothly. Instead, they tend to become battlegrounds for secrets, lies, and shocking revelations. If Christine and Danny make it to the altar, the odds of Phyllis disrupting the moment are sky high. And when that moment comes, Daniel may be the only one who can prevent total disaster. Will he stand firm, blocking his mother from destroying Christine's big day? Or will the pull of family ties weaken his resolve, giving Phyllis the opening she needs to shatter everything? The road ahead promises high. The Young and the Restless is about to give fans a wedding storyline that could rival some of Genoa City's most iconic unions as whispers grow louder that Danny Romalotti and Christine "Cricket" Blair may finally be heading down the aisle once more. For longtime viewers who have watched their love story unfold over decades, this development feels like both a full-circle moment and a chance to rewrite history in a way that offers redemption, closure, and the ultimate happily ever after. Yet, as with any soap wedding, the road to the altar is never without drama, doubts, and unexpected twists. Fans are already speculating if this reunion will survive outside forces, lingering baggage from their past, and the inevitable chaos that seems to follow whenever two beloved legacy characters attempt to seal their romance with vows. The build-up to a potential wedding between Danny and Cricket has been carefully laid out in recent months. Danny returned to town, reconnecting not only with his son Daniel but also with the great love of his life, Christine. Their chemistry was immediate, their bond undeniable, and their history impossible to ignore. While Christine had been working through years of heartache and career-driven priorities, Danny provided a spark that reignited something deep within her. It wasn't long before old feelings resurfaced, memories of their youthful days as Genoa City's super couple came flooding back, and fans found themselves cheering for a second chance at love. But can Christine truly forgive the past? Can Danny prove that he's no longer the restless rock star chasing fame and temptation, but instead a man who's ready to settle into a future filled with stability and devotion? Those are the big questions looming as buzz about a wedding begins to dominate conversations. Christine has always been portrayed as a woman of principle, guided by both her career in law and her sense of justice. Her heart, however, has often been at war with her head when it comes to Danny. The betrayal of his past infidelities, especially with Phyllis Summers, cut her deeply, leaving scars that never fully faded. Seeing Danny again, mature and reflective, has reopened wounds but also offered healing. He has been candid about his regrets, especially about how he let fame and bad choices destroy what they had. By baring his soul, he's showing Christine he understands the magnitude of his mistakes. For Cricket, forgiveness isn't easy, but she also knows that love like theirs doesn't come around often. Danny, meanwhile, has made it clear he wants nothing more than to spend his life making amends and building something lasting with Christine. Their journey to the altar, however, won't be without opposition. Soap weddings are notorious for interruptions, and Danny and Cricket's nuptials could easily become the center of chaos in Genoa City. One of the biggest obstacles is Phyllis herself. Even though she has claimed to move on, Phyllis has always carried a torch for Danny, and her jealousy of Christine is legendary. Fans still remember the manipulative games Phyllis played decades ago to break them up in the first place, including faking a pregnancy with Daniel to trap Danny. If Phyllis feels left out or slighted, it's almost guaranteed she'll find a way to stir up drama, either by crashing the wedding or dropping a bombshell at the worst possible moment. Then there's the complicated dynamic with Daniel Romolotti, Jr. While Daniel wants to see his father happy and appreciates Christine's role in his upbringing, he may also struggle with the idea of his parents reconciling after so much history. Could Daniel's loyalty to his mother Phyllis complicate things? He may want to remain neutral, but weddings have a way of bringing out divided loyalties. If he's asked to give his blessing, will he be able to do so without upsetting Phyllis, who could guilt him into opposing the union? Beyond family drama, Christine and Danny also have professional and personal hurdles. Christine's career as a powerful attorney means her schedule is packed, her reputation is on the line, and marrying Danny could create distractions. Will she worry that being tied to a former rock star could impact how she's viewed in the legal world? On Danny's side, there's always the lure of the music industry. Even though he's stepped back from touring, there's a chance he could be tempted into another comeback, which could once again put strain on their marriage. The possibility of history repeating itself looms large, and Christine must decide if she can trust Danny enough to take that risk. The soap has been laying groundwork that suggests a wedding isn't just possible, but inevitable. Subtle nods to their past romance, rekindled emotional conversations, and moments of vulnerability between them have been peppered throughout recent episodes. Viewers have watched them share meaningful glances, reminisce about their youth, and imagine what could have been if they had stayed together. Those beats feel like a build-up to something bigger, and daytime television rarely teases romance this heavily without a payoff. The question, however, is whether the writers will give them a fairy tale wedding or a dramatic cliffhanger. In classic soap tradition, weddings are often interrupted by shocking revelations, unexpected returns, or sudden accidents. Could Phyllis interrupt the ceremony with a scandalous revelation? Could a blast from Danny's rock star past show up to derail things? Or could Christine herself get cold feet at the last minute, realizing that marrying Danny means reopening a chapter she once swore was closed forever? Fans are divided. Some believe Christine and Danny deserve a peaceful, drama-free wedding as a reward for decades of heartache. Others argue that soaps thrive on chaos, so expecting a smooth ceremony is unrealistic. Either way, it's clear that this wedding, if it happens, will be must-watch television. Beyond the wedding itself, there's also the impact it could have on other characters. Paul Williams, Christine's former husband, has always been part of her love story. Though Paul has been absent from Genoa City in recent years, his presence still lingers. If Christine marries Danny, it could finally put an end to any lingering Paul and Cricket speculation. But could Paul make a surprise return, throwing a wrench into the proceedings by reminding Christine of their history? Soap operas love to revisit old flames, and Christine being torn between Paul and Danny once again would add delicious layers of drama. Danny's marriage to Christine would also ripple across the younger generation. Daniel could find himself pulled in multiple directions, torn between loyalty to his mother Phyllis, respect for Christine, and support for his father. Meanwhile, other Genoa City residents like Lily, Phyllis, and even Lauren would have opinions. Some might cheer them on, while others might warn Christine to tread carefully. Weddings in Genoa City rarely happen in isolation, they become community events that bring every simmering rivalry and alliance to the surface. Viewers who remember their original wedding back in the 1990s will feel nostalgic if Danny and Christine walk down the aisle again. Back then, they were the young star-crossed lovers of the show, constantly battling outside interference but always drawn back to each other. A new wedding would allow the show to honor that history while showing how far both characters have come. It would also give longtime fans a payoff that feels richly deserved after years of separation and missed opportunities. From a storytelling perspective, a Danny and Cricket wedding offers countless directions for future plots. If they marry successfully, the soap can explore the challenges of blending their lives, reconciling with Phyllis, and navigating career versus personal commitments. If the wedding implodes, the fallout could fuel months of storylines involving betrayal, heartbreak, and revenge. Either way, the writers have set themselves up for a win by building anticipation to this level. As speculation continues, fans are already buzzing on social media, sharing throwback clips of Danny and Cricket's greatest moments, debating whether they belong together, and theorizing about how the wedding might play out. Some want an intimate ceremony that honors their history, while others dream of a lavish Genoa City event with all the bells and whistles. No matter the setting, the emotional weight of Danny and Christine exchanging vows again cannot be understated. It would be a moment that ties together decades of storytelling, paying tribute to their status as one of Y&R's signature couples. In the end, whether they make it down the aisle or not, the fact that Danny and Cricket are even talking about marriage is a testament to the enduring power of soap opera romance. Their story has spanned generations, survived betrayals, and weathered the storms of fame, temptation, and heartbreak. To see them standing side by side again, imagining a shared future, is a reward in itself for longtime fans. If they do marry, it could mark one of the most memorable weddings in soap history. And if the ceremony crumbles in chaos, well, that's the nature of Genoa City, where love stories are always grand, dramatic, and unforgettable.